Hello everyone, it's Maki. Today, let's take a look at Bright Noa, one of the key figures of the Universal Century. Let's take a closer look at him. He's also an important figure in Hathaway Noa's story and the second movie about her is coming out soon. As you might have guessed from his last name, Bright is Hathaway's father. What kind of person is he? What role does he play in the Earth's Federation forces and the Federation government? Understanding his background may reveal new perspectives about Hathaway's story. This time, I'll try to avoid direct spoilers of the main plot of Hathaway's Flash. You can relax and enjoy watching. Now, before we get into the main topic, let me share a quick update. On my channel, I'm offering memberships. For just 99 cents a month, you can get a name badge and a comment badge. Alright, then let's begin the analysis. Bright Noa is an Earth Federation Forces officer and Newtype. Hey, hold on a second. I can almost hear some of you shouting that out right now. And you'd basically be correct. Bright Noa is treated as a person who is not a new type. Even in games produced by Bandai based on official settings, he is categorized as an old type human who is not a new type. However, we can judge that because we are observing the Universal Century world from the outside. We know this because we have access to status screens that describe a character's traits with absolute accuracy, like reading a game profile. But people living in the Universal Century have a different perspective than we do as viewers. They can't step outside their world and look in like we can. In fact, there's a passage in the novel version of Hathaway's Flash that reflects this reality. The author is none other than Yoshiyuki Tomino, the creator of the Universal Century. In one scene, Henry Yokson speaks about Bright Noa. Here's what he says. Bright Noa of the Independent 13th Squadron. Despite his age, he is a battle-hardened new type. Henry is a member of the Earth's Federation government. Although he is not a politician, he holds a very high position. His ability to board the space shuttle Hanzen as a passenger further demonstrates his status. Furthermore, Henry is the director of the criminal police organization and has the authority to command the Manhunters. It might be a bit of a stretch to say that his opinion represents every single high-ranking member of the Federation government, though. However, the fact remains that there is at least one senior official within the Earth's Federation government who recognizes Bright Noa as a new type. As for how the Earth's Federation government evaluates Bright Noa, the novel version of Gundam Unicorn also provides a description. It's important to note that Gundam Unicorn was written by Haruto Shifukui, not Yoshiyuki Tomino. I personally feel that while building his own unique world, Fukui has respect for the world that Tomino created. Of course, that's just my impression. It's probably best to take it as one possible interpretation within the history of the Universal Century. So, how is Bright evaluated? This question arises in Volume 6 of the novel during a conversation with Ronan Marsnas. Though he is a soldier of the Earth's Federation forces, he could be judged as the commander of a new type unit. He's reliable, but he could essentially be a threat to the Earth's Federation. Mishandling him could harm us, so one might call him equivalent to a nuclear weapon. One of the major themes in Gundam Unicorn is how the Earth's Federation government views new types with hostility. Therefore, the idea of a Federation officer commanding new types is extremely unusual and unstable. Even from our perspective as viewers, we can understand that Bright Noa has commanded many new types and led them to victory across numerous battlefields. To the Earth's Federation government, he could truly be called a potential threat. In fact, in Zeta Gundam, Bright plays an active role as commander of the Ayugo. Later, the Ayugo would be credited with stopping the rampage of the Titans and purifying the Federation forces. However, when it was first formed, the Ayugo was considered anti-Federation. In practical terms, they were considered terrorists. In that sense, there's a bit of similarity to Maki, don't you think? Moreover, Bright joined the Ayugo before the public knew about the Titans' inhumane actions. Perhaps this attitude of perceiving the truth and taking action early contributed to the belief that Bright is a new type. So, what does Bright himself think? The answer is written in Volume 2 of the novel Hathaway's Flash. Please be aware that I will be introducing a section from Volume 2 here. Rest assured, I'll only share parts that won't affect the overall plot or ending. However, if you prefer to go in with absolutely no prior information, this might be a good point to skip ahead in the program. Alright, let's review the content together. Are you ready? Bright has witnessed countless people dying on battlefields. Because of these experiences, he starts thinking as someone who has lived through these wars, isn't it my duty to work on transforming society so that such conflict never happen again? With that in mind, he first comes up with the idea of running a restaurant. He realizes that although he has extensive experience as a soldier, he doesn't know much about ordinary society or everyday people. He decides that he should live a life where he can engage with the culture essential to human beings, food. At this point, Bright doesn't have a strong drive to become a politician. However, he admits while managing the restaurant, my perspective may change and I might enter politics. He even shares the outline of his political beliefs, painful they may be. If the time comes, even if all I do is repeat Zeon Daikon's words, I will uphold the principle that humanity must transform into new types. This idea may be idealistic, even foolish to many. I may not be the kind of leader who wins great support or votes in an election. But if I don't speak out, wouldn't all that I learned through space wars be for naught? This is how Bright thinks. Based on everything we've covered so far, how would you describe Bright as a person? To the Earth's Federation government, he is certainly a hero, but he is also an extremely dangerous individual. Remember that the Federation is deeply hostile toward new types. This theme is even reflected in the story of Hathaway's Flash. This element is unique to the movies and not from Tomino's novel. The Earth's Federation Forces mobile suits have an AI-based support system. This detail is described in the official setting material book, Mechanic, A World. Pilots are gradually reduced to merely pulling the trigger while the AI handles most of the decision-making. The Federation forces implemented this measure specifically to prevent the rise of new type-like individuals. The Federation soldiers don't truly understand what a new type is. However, they believe that by creating such systems, they can suppress the emergence of new types. Finally, let's touch on one detail that hints at the question, is Bright really a new type? Think back to the climax of the original 0079. Remember the scene where Bright and the others escape from the exploding space fortress. Hathaway uses his new type abilities to communicate directly with his comrades. Bright hears Hathaway's words. Not only does he hear them, but he also fully understands Hathaway's intent and gives the order for everyone to escape. Whether Bright is a new type remains unknown. However, the fact that he has new type potential is undeniable. So, if you watch the film paying attention to what Bright Noa means to the Earth's Federation government, you may discover something new. Keep today's discussion in the back of your mind as you enjoy the story. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next program.